CARRICK-ON-SUIR. A very big welcome to all of you to the Maurice Davin Awards, GAA Awards for 1995 here in Carrick-On-SUIR. A traditional number of years, and we hope it will continue for quite a long time to come. To get the show on the road, I'd like to introduce to you now the Chairman of Carrick-On-SUIR Urban District Council, Councillor Liam O'Dwyer.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me as Chairman of the Carrick-On-SUIR Urban Council to be here today. It's a great occasion for Carrick and also for Waterfords, Kilkenny and Tipperary. This is the 8th year, and I think before we go any further, a big round of applause for the organising committee over the last 8 years for the wonderful work they are doing in organising this, getting people together from the 3 counties, and for the great charitable work they're doing. Give them a big round of applause, please. It's great to see Jimmy Doyle here. This is about 6 years, I think, on the trot that he's come here. And also a great friend of mine, another great hurler from the past, a Waterford hurler, Frankie Walsh. You're both very welcome.
Great man, great man.
I must say that Carrick, without seeming to hurt the other counties or other clubs, to me is the home of hurling, and has been from the foundation of the GAA. We have 3 hurling and football clubs here. I don't think any other town in Ireland can boast of that. 2 of them are based in the Tipperary Championships, one in Waterford. And I had the great pleasure some weeks ago to give a reception to the Muller's Hurling Club and Football Club for winning 2 county finals within the space of 24 hours. And the Swan Hurling Club and Davin Hurling Clubs have also brought back great honour to this town in all levels of hurling. And I get a great pleasure from saying this wherever I am, that it's a great boast as a Carrick man to be able to say that we have 3 great clubs in Carrick-On-SUIR. At the reception for the Muller's Hurling Club, and also at 2 others that I had the pleasure of attending recently, I spoke about one thing in particular, and I won't delay you much longer, but this is very important. And it is my intention, early in the new year, please God, to invite all sporting bodies in Carrick-On-SUIR to come and meet with me. All of them, GAA, soccer, golf, you name it. I want every one of them to meet with me to try and do something about a very serious problem we have both in this town and in our country at the moment. We are just completely infested with drugs. It's a very, very serious thing, and I think that by meeting with the sporting bodies here in Carrick-On-SUIR, that we can do something to solve or go some way in solving this terrible, terrible problem that we have, and to try and entice young people to get involved, irrespective of what sport, to get them involved in sport and get them off the streets. And finally, I am delighted to see that the committee this year have seen fit to give the proceeds from today to the Meals on Wheels, the social services. It's something that's very, very close to my heart. They've been around for 30 years now, and I honoured the social services just 2 months ago with the reception at the town hall for all the great work they are doing here in CARRICK-ON-SUIR for the elderly and the needy. And I am delighted that the committee have seen fit this year to give the proceeds to the Meals on Wheels. I officially now open this function. I want to thank you all. Hope you enjoy the rest of the evening and have a good, happy New Year.
Afternoon, the presentation of the awards to the various people, and I suppose it's only appropriate on an occasion like this that we should celebrate being ourselves in these days when we have to apologise almost for being Irish or feeling Irish. It's great that we will think of the great deeds and the great excitement and rivalry of our own local area. And for somebody who came from the western seaboard down here to the valleys of the Three Sisters, be there at a Munster final day, we'll say, between Tipperary and Waterford, or an All-Ireland final day between Kilkenny and Tipperary, the adrenaline and all the excitement and all the rest, the great rivalry that's there, is something that we never came across. It's something in its best form that's to be envied. I know there's a lot of slagging goes on between all the three counties, but at heart we're all the same crowd. We enjoy coming together, and on an occasion like this I know that we will give full credit to the people who are coming up to get the awards. Just a little sobering thought perhaps is to remember some of the people who received awards here in the last number of years and are no longer with us. During the year, just to remember, I was here myself in '93, and that day we had the Link Welsh. Link is no longer with us. He's playing full back up there now. And also we'd like to extend our sympathies to the Kilkenny people and to the relatives of the late Ted Carroll, the Kilkenny County Secretary. It's life. We must go on, and they would want us to enjoy what we're doing here today. My predecessor, Paddy Finucane, isn't with us, and I'd like to pay a tribute to the great work that Paddy has done. Paddy, over the years, would be searching for information on all these candidates since about last September, and he'd come up with absolute little gems of stories and everything. I'm afraid a lot of what I'm going to say about each of the people will have been gathered very quickly and may or may not be the gospel truth. However, if that's so, I can only apologise, and I know that whatever I say about them is only the tip of the iceberg. So now we're going to start off with the awards, and we're starting with football, Gaelic football, but football with a difference, as played by the ladies. And our recipient of the Ladies Football Award for 1995 has 4 Senior All-Ireland medals, 1 Junior All-Ireland medals, 3 All-Stars, and wearing the number 12 jersey for County Waterford in all those 5 finals. She plays with the Ballymacarbery Club in County Waterford. From Kinsale Bake, would you welcome please Katrina Casey. Now, my fault, while Katrina is coming up, stay there Jimmy, I should have started by introducing the great Jimmy Doyle to you. Jimmy has been here to present the awards every year, and here he is again. And maybe Katrina would like to say a few words to us.
A few years ago, when I was doing my Leaving Cert, I had to pick a topic for a history exam, and at the time I had started to play football with Waterford, and on the previous October we had won the junior in Croke Park, and I was very interested in hurling and football, and I picked I wanted to do my project on the early years of the GAA. And when I was doing the project, I read a lot about Maurice Davin, and I didn't know then that such an award existed. But I'd just like to say that I'm very, very honoured and delighted to be accepting this award, dedicated to the memory of a great sportsman and a super athlete and a great Irishman too.
Katrina Casey. And this year's awards are presented by Kilkenny Crystal, and the Maurice Davin Awards, something that I think a lot of people would love to get. Our next footballer is somebody that I don't have to introduce to you here. He came to school here. He excelled as a footballer. I asked him about hurling, and he says he prefers to forget his experience of it. He played minor, under-21, senior with Waterford. He played with the Tipperary Technical Schools teams. He won an All-Ireland Freshers medal with the Cork Regional Technical College, playing UCC in the final. He is somebody that's, I think, a special footballer, a Garda in Freshford, County Kilkenny. He led his team this year to one of the great historic moments for this area, when his team, after 77 years, since 1918, took the Waterford Senior Football title, 1995. The captain, a great player, a player that we'll hear a lot more about, the captain of the Rathgormack team, 1995, Martin Power. Would you like to say a few words, Mark?
I don't know about all what Tom said, but I'd just like to thank the committee for giving me this award. But I feel it's a tribute to not just me alone, but 24 fellas that started out training last February out in Rathgormack in cold winter nights. So I can only accept this on behalf of them, because I feel you're only as good as the guys around you. And this year our consistency paid off, and everyone on the team and on the panel played their hearts out and gave everything to Rathgormack. And I suppose with the junior team as well, that went almost the whole way as well, which we never had before. We had fellas behind us, and you know, you might have 12 or 13 footballers and you'd be scraping the end of the bucket for the last 2 or 3. But we had a strong panel of 24, and to every one of them, this is for them. So thanks very much to everyone.
Thank you, Martin. And I know Martin had a few brothers playing. How many exactly, Martin? 5 altogether. A powerful team, 5 power brothers and the others. And what Martin has said about teamwork, I think that's absolutely vital, and you never win with just 15. Or as we used to play one time, 13 players and 2 taxi drivers. Our our next recipient of Maurice Davin Award 95 is another footballer from the other side of the river. A man who also has graced many fields over the last number of years. He played, I think he got man of the match in almost everything he played this year. His team also got a first in winning the County Tipperary Football Championship. One of the writers described this man, talking about his play at midfield. The quality of his fielding would have won him a place on any team in the country. His gazelle-like leaps won Moyle Rovers a steady stream of possession in the midfield area. That's the type of thing they used to say about Mick O'Connell years ago. And the advent of Derry Foley into several matches has been absolutely wonderful in turning the game around. Almost single-handedly, after Kerry had scored 5 goals in this year's championship, they helped to bring Tip back to within 4 points before Kerry pulled away again. He was on the Tipperary B team, which won the All-Ireland B against Longford, and he played right up to the Munster final. A big Carrick welcome then for the footballer of the year and of quite a number of years from County Tipperary, from Moyle Rovers, Derry Foley.
Just a few words to say. One, I'd like to thank everyone associated with the committee for this special award. It's very important to me to be down here today. I'd also like to just reminisce on some of the words that our host has said. 1995 was a great year for Moyle Rovers, a great year for me personally. And what I like about today more than anything else, that myself and Martin, we battled hard this year, early on in the championship, and it's great that you can give us occasion that I can come down here and have a pint with him and have a conversation about the year past, and I look forward to meeting him again next year and to meeting you all again maybe back here next year as well. Thanks very much.
And perhaps Martin and Derry have both said this great thing of teams behind them, of teamwork, of meeting your team, but particularly meeting the opposition and sitting down and sharing memories. I suppose we always treat hurling and football matches as extremely serious things. You know, I suppose we put so much work and so much time into it. It's very hard to remember stories that might be a little bit funny, except perhaps the Cork contingent on a car who went west into Kerry during the war. And this joke is so old that it was during the war when people were forced to grow extra corn so they'd keep us all fed. But these couple of Cork fellas were going through Kerry and they saw a hurling match going on. And they looked in over the ditch, and one Cork fella said to the other, "Hey boy, what are they at?" The other fella looked and he said, "I don't know, boy. Must be the compulsory tillage." The best football story I have heard was of the ex-Kerry goalkeeper that was over in London. There was a big fire in one of these very high-rise apartments. And the flames were up along the walls, and up on the very top floor was a young woman who was holding a baby in her arms. And there was fire brigades and crowds, hundreds, thousands of people all around the street. And the fire brigade had arranged a set of blankets and that down underneath, and they shouted at the woman to throw down the baby so they'd catch it, and she wouldn't. And this ex-Kerry goalkeeper came up and he said, "Throw down the baby, mama." And she said, no, I won't, she'd let it drop. He said, I'm Janine Sullivan, I played in goals for Kerry, and I never, do you see them two hands? He said, nothing ever went through them in all my career. And she said, oh, good God, if you're Danny Sullivan, I heard my father talking about you. He said, you're the best pair of hands that anyone ever had. She said, if you're going to catch the baby, I'll throw it down. And she did. And he caught it over his head. And the crowd went wild and they started cheering him and shouting. He forgot where he was. And he did toe to hand twice with the baby and kicked it down the street. Which only goes to show that if we're saying all the time, we'll go mad. Now to hurling, to the awards, to the 3 club members, hurler of the present, hurler of the past, for each of the clubs and later on for each of the counties. From the Carrick-On-SUIR Swan team, the hurler of the present is a player who played juvenile, minor, under-21 right up along and has given great service to his club over a large number of years. I remember he played cornerback with me on an under, not with me but for me I suppose, in an under-12 team which won the county I think in about 1977. So it isn't today or yesterday he started playing the games. So the recipient of the award for the Swan Player of the Present for 1995 is Kevin O'Shea. Kevin played football at cornerback, but he did most of his hurling at midfield. Turn around. Thanks, Kevin. And the recipient of Swan Player of the Past is somebody that I saw playing hurling when I came down here first in the 50s. He played minor, junior, won a couple of South Senior hurling championships with the Swan. He played at midfield or at wing forward, centre forward. And what I particularly remember about him was his ability to double on a ball in the air, a skill that unfortunately we have lost. But this man was an absolute genius at doubling on the ball in the air. I once was told, I don't know whether this is true or not, William, I was told that he could double on a swallow crossing across the field and hit it too. So will we show our appreciation for the Swan Player of the Past, William Axel Healy. It took me a long time to realize that his first name was William. Would you like to say a few words?
What can I say really? Like, but I'm privileged to get this award here today on behalf of the Swan Hurling Club and everybody that's here. I wish them well. Everybody's here to get a reward. I think the committee have done a great job here for the last eight years, whatever it is, I don't know. But they deserve a bit of credit, and I wish them all, in the next 12 months, whatever they can do, I wish them all the best. And thank you very much. But in particular, there's one man here, Tom Nealon. I remember Tom Nealon coming to Carrick 35, 36 years ago. I might be wrong tonight, I don't know. But remember, he have done a great work for the young fellas of Carrick. And indeed, I would like to say, on behalf of Tom Nealon here, I'd love to look the kids at the present time to keep up the tradition of the GAA and put more honour into the game, and please God, we'll have the hurlers in Carrick again.
Thank you. I couldn't have said that nearly half as well. I agree with every single syllable of it. It's very important, and it's lovely to hear it. Now, the player of the present from the Carrick-On-SUIR Davin Club is somebody who played at all grades of hurling and football over the years. He has the unique distinction, I think, of playing an under-21 final with Tipperary, of playing senior hurling with Waterford, playing hurling with London, playing junior hurling with Tipperary a few years ago. He has won many of the honours that the game has to offer. He's a very committed club player. He, over the years, has given tremendous service. 2 years ago, I was here when his father received an award for the great hurling that he had been doing. He belongs to a family who are synonymous with Carrick hurling. Would you welcome, please, from the Davin Club for 1995, the player of the present, Anthony Waters. The player of the past, and I suppose when you'd say that I'm here 35 years, talking of players of the past, players who you played with, it never seems like the past, you know. We're all young fellas, and we're getting younger by the new time. But the player of the past is somebody, again, who played with Swans, with Davins, but he will be remembered particularly as being a member of the great team that won the Tipperary County Championships in 1966 and 67, went on to take the Munster Club Championship. He has 2 senior hurling Munster Club Championships. He also played football. He was a man that I remember that never seemed to be rushing, but everywhere you went for a ball, he was always there with you, and you hadn't a hope of hitting it. Would you welcome, please, from Deer Park, the recipient of the Player of the Past from the Davins Club for 1995, Tom Arrigan.
I won't say much, Johnny. Thanks for the memories.
Thank you, Tom. And seeing himself and Jimmy Doyle shaking hands there reminds me of some of the wonderful matches that were played between Jimmy's Thurles Sarsfields and the Carrick teams from the 50s and the 60s. They were marvellous times. Jimmy, you helped those memories, and thanks for being here to help us to relive them. Across the river to the great year that I spoke about, you saw some of the highlights there in the video before we started. It was a marvellous year for St. Mullins this year. They won 2 county championships in the space of 24 hours. And the amazing thing about it was that their win in the intermediate championship was brought about by a very young team, an extremely young team. I mean, youth policy is one thing, but no less than, I think, 5 of that intermediate team that won the Waterford County Championship this year are underage for minors next year. Now that is a marvellous achievement by players so young, and I think we can look forward to seeing them go all the way in the higher ranks and take a Waterford Championship back to the cross, back between the 2 churches where I spent a lot of my years. Now, the player of the present had to be one of those teams. It could have been any one of the whole selection.
But the player that I think was selected is a player who epitomises this great effort, this great commitment to the game. He used to play, I remember the first time I saw him playing, he was playing with the school under 11. A small little fella, and huge big fellas by comparison all around him, swinging wildly on the ball. He used to put his hand up, come out, sidestep, and clear it way down the field. He hasn't changed a bit. In fact, I think he probably has improved. So then, the St. Mullins player of the present for 1995, one of the very young men on the St. Mullins team. Would you welcome, please, Michael Reid. And Michael is only continuing a very long line with the great hurlers, including Sean Reid and all his brothers, and the marvellous years of service that they have given to the St. Mullins Hurling Club and to hurling in general. Somebody some years ago got tongue-tied or tongue-twisted when they were saying reading between the lines, and they said lining between the reeds. But I think that would probably sum up. There's so many of them playing at the moment that I think if that man had said it now, we'd all understand what he meant. Anyhow, we're going now to inter-county players. And the player... Oh, sorry, sorry, thank you, John. I'm sure Gay Byrne has all sorts of things on the camera, but I almost forgot a very important thing. The player of the past from the St. Mullins team, and he's somebody that I think I only saw hurling once or twice, because when I came here he was probably classed as a veteran. From what I remember being very impressed with him as a player, with his balance, with the way he struck the ball. He was somebody that I thought had great class. I didn't know anybody at the time, and I asked immediately who this player was. He was a player of great class. He was coming towards the end of his career, I think, at that time. And in his heyday was one of the great hurlers in the County Waterford side. Would you please welcome the player of the past from St. Mullins for 1995, Jim Fitzpatrick. Would you like to say a few words, Jim?
I'd like to thank the committee first of all, and I'll have to say to that they're making me Christmas. I got a knockout during the year, and this is it. And especially when you get it from a man like Jimmy Doyle. I might have come down from the forest in the County Waterford, but I always admired them. I saw him playing minor, and I suppose I saw him playing the last match. And I never played in Crow Park myself, but I was there oftener than anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And isn't that, if we tell the truth, isn't that what we're all doing it for? I mean, who in their right senses would spend all these hours training and running around fields and running up? We want to ask Mike Mackey up in Clare how many times you should run up and down the hills. Nobody in their right senses would take that on, except that at the back of all our minds there's the glory of the little village, as Matt the Thrasher said. We all do it because we want to bring some little bit of honour, some bit of glory to our own little corner of the woods. To the inter-county players, Waterford 95. Now Waterford had a very good 90s so far in the underage section. They've had some outstanding minor teams, some outstanding under 21 teams, and I think that the breakthrough for them It cannot be very far off. Marvellous teams that I have seen playing. And one of the great players who was on a number of those teams and was an outstanding player and deprived my native Clare of what I would say was a couple of under-21 titles by a sheer genius of his play. He played for Mount Sion this year. He has played for the last number of years. In all his matches, I think this year, he was classed as man of the match. Anybody who has seen him has seen the striking, the balance, the great covering power, will say that he is a first-class hurler. Would you welcome, please, the Waterford County hurler, the player of the present for 1995. Very, very specially privileged we are to welcome Tony Brown.
Well, first of all, it's an absolute honour for me to be here today to be represented with this award. Basically, what I'd like to do is thank everyone on the organising committee who put everything into this event. And each year this event is getting much bigger, and hopefully in the next few years this event will be one of the big GAA events on the calendar. I think it's a marvellous idea the way they have present hurlers of the year and also past present hurlers of the year. We must never forget the past men, the likes of Jimmy Doyle here alongside of me, Frankie Welch and all these boys. Without these fellas the GAA wouldn't be what it would be, and all the likes of all these fellas will keep it going, the likes of us and everything. Thanks very much for it.
Thank you, Tony, and no doubt we will be seeing you up there. You better get a few words from Anthony Daly, because I don't think it'll be long until the McCart will be coming down south of the shore. Our next person for an award is the Waterford Player of the Past. Believe it or not, I probably know this man better than most. But when I sat down to say, what do I know about what he has achieved, I wasn't able to make a big list because it was too big to start itemizing. This is a person, I think, that epitomizes for me the spirit of hurling everywhere. He played for Waterford. I think he lives in Kilkenny, and he has been training a Tipperary team for the last couple of years. He's doing all with great style and panache. His days with Portlaw and with Waterford were particularly memorable. The way he got into the game, very quick striking, very, very incisive player indeed, and a man who gave many wonderful displays in the blue and white. He's now, if I'm not mistaken, training the Mullinahone team, and anybody who saw them play the semi-final of the county realises how close they went to the eventual champions, Éire Nina. So, would we give a big warm round of applause and a welcome to Waterford's Player of the Past, Jackie Whelan. Jackie, would you like to say a few words?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege for me to be here and just shake hands with Jimmy Doyle. I have to say just one little particular story about him. A good few years ago, the Munster Championship match was played in Waterford, and Jimmy was playing the wing forward, and I was playing centre field on Mick Roach the same day. So the rough going was tough, and Jimmy was in his heyday at the time. And I always thought I had terrible regrets from that one day was that Jimmy had, I think they always say Jimmy used the hurley a little shorter than the rest of us. And Jimmy, I thought I had Jimmy hooked, but I hadn't it. And it was a costly slip. Jimmy put the ball in the back of the net. And that's a memory that always stayed with me. But I want to say, 'tis an honour here for me to be here. And just for my brothers there, there's Frankie and Peter there, and Mossy, and again to Chasty. But I also want to say, I just want again to say to the committee people that are here that kept, this is a very important gathering. And like the people have said before me went on, it has gathered in strength with the years. And that's why it's so important. And we have people here today from Waterford and Kilkenny and Tipperary. And it's a marvellous thing at the end of a year, because when you really think about it, whether young or old, is to reach the end of a year, and that, you know, you have survived and you have seen great games over that year, which we did. We had great, I'm with them on the whole lads now. John Leahy, he's there someplace. But I want to say, we had a great year, and I saw great things happening. I saw great hurling in this year. And I know that if there's a Kilkenny people there, just want to say it. In the last 5 minutes, when Mullinahone played Kilkenny this year in the South semi-final, I saw hurling in that 5 minutes that I never saw better in all the years that I've been following the game. And some people might say that the game of hurling today is not as good as it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago. I want to say one thing. The game of hurling is as good today as ever it was. But there is, as the years flow on, things that the GAA will have to take a different look at things. They're going to have to debate professionalism and the care of older players. These things have to come into the consideration as we look back. And the GAA has made marvellous advances in the last 50, 60 years. Even if we could even come further than that, in 30 years. But I want to say to people here that who love the GAA and love hurling. The game of hurling is our own identity. It's our identity. It's what we are and what we came from. And just before, I don't want to make any political speech or anything like that, but I do want to go back to 1884, to Davin and his 7 comrades that met in Hayes' Hotel in that day, which was very important to Ireland. And they had the courage, There were 4 Fenians on that group of people that met that day to form the GAA. Many people here, the younger people, will say, I hurl and I play football. But there's one thing we must never forget, is where we came from. The Davin and Cusack at that time, the rebellions in Ireland of the previous years had failed. They had failed because it hadn't the support of all the people. Davin and Cusack set up the Gaelic Athletic Association, and from the Gaelic Athletic Association sprang the freedom that we have today. And when we talk and come to gatherings like this, we must never be afraid to say what we are. We are Irish people, we love our culture, and we are prepared to defend it, because that is our identity. And I'm not going to say any more. I just want to say the privilege to the Davin team of the 60s. The Davin team of the 60s were a great team. And I'm going to say to the Swan lads, there was a stage when you nearly made it, but you didn't. You must know, and that's in all sincerity. You must now go back again and come forward again. That's sport. I can remember the Portlaw team when we started in the early 60s, and we went for, I often said it and I'm going to say it again, we went for 5 years with blood and broken bones and nothing won. And we faced into the years, and the team grew and matured. And all I'm saying to any young team that's coming up, and I want to say again a special word to the Mullins. I went to see especially, lads, and you have a grand team coming up, but your objective must be now not to sit back on your laurels. Your objective must be now to win a senior championship. and that is hard work and sweat. Hard work and sweat. That's what that is. And I believe that you want to do it. And I want to say now to the Mullinahone fellas that I'm with at the present time, our objective now is to win again a senior championship into Prairie. To bring a senior championship to South to Prairie. That's our objective. And there's one special man I want to mention just before. I know you're going to say I'm hogging the thing, but I don't. There's a special man there, Frankie Welsh there. Frankie Welsh, a special, one of the great forwards of all time. And there's another big fella back in the back, John Doyle there, back in the back. And there was a little fella that played on John Doyle many years ago inside here in the Davin Park, and he scored a great goal off a John Doyle. But that was the only ball he got off of John Doyle. For the rest of it. Anyway, I want to say to everybody, to the committee again, thanks very, very much. Keep up your good work, and a happy new year to everybody.
Now we're hurling. Now, we'll follow on by crossing the Suir and going to County Kilkenny. I agree with you. When I was a little fella growing up, I heard from all the old men who talked about the great Kilkenny hurlers of the 30s, and they mentioned names like Laurie Maher and other things like that, and I dreamed of the day when I'd see Kilkenny hurling. They used to come to us in Ennis in the league and usually do all the hurling regardless of the result of the match. I always thought they were a tremendous stick work. I still do, and they're a hard team to beat at all times. The man that has been selected this year to represent the Kilkenny player of the present is somebody who has worn the black and amber. And by the way, if any of you were watching that programme in the Wren last night, the green and gold, what did I see inside in the middle of the parade going down? Number 22 in a Kilkenny black and amber jersey with the vertical stripes all the way down the street in Dingle. So I wondered whether it was a Kerry man that was learning to play hurling or a Kilkenny man that was in exile and couldn't forget the fact. Anyhow, the black and amber has meant a lot to a lot of people, and I think to the player that has been selected for 95, it means a great lot indeed. He would also, I think, be interested in green and gold for another reason. He has 2 senior All-Ireland medals as far as I can get, 92 and 93. He was an all-star. He captained Glenmore this year. We're specialising in the captains. Captain Glenmore to the, as they're in now, they have won the Leinster Club final. They won the Kilkenny County Championship and they've won the Leinster Club final. And I suppose something in the back of my mind tells me that they will be probably crossing come-ons with the Clare representative 6 Mile Bridge sometime in the new year. But with that in the future, I would like you to put your hands together and welcome a very fine hurler. One of these people, as the words of Michael O'Hare years ago, who comes nipping in because he is the absolute expert of coming away with a ball that you thought was in the back of the net by the other team. So, without any more ado, give a big welcome to Willie O'Connor. Willie, would you like to say a few words? It runs in the family.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Giving a microphone to myself already is like giving whiskey to the Indians. Anything could happen. I'd just like to thank the committee for presenting me with this award. It's great to get to this award, especially when it's on enemy territory. I'd like to say that we could meet Tipperary in All Ireland next year, but talking to the Waterford lads, Tipperary won't get past the first round. I'd always, when you be in company like this, some people love a long speech and some people like a short speech. I'm a drinker, I like a short speech. Thank you.
Come up and join us here. Wouldn't it be lovely to be playing midfield with that back line behind me? You could make all the mistakes you wanted. Our next recipient of the award is the Kilkenny Player of the Past, and he's somebody who didn't let too many things get behind him. He played minor in goals against Dublin in the 47 minor final. They lost that one. But in 48 they were back, Kilkenny won the minor title, and they played Waterford in the final. They lost. It wasn't our man's fault. On that Waterford team was Father Mick Joe Ryan, who was here in Carrick for quite a number of years, played in that Waterford team, a very fine team. In 49, I may have seen him, but I don't remember, because in the last minutes, we were so excited when Jimmy Smith blasted a ball to the net and Clare won the home junior final by 2 points, 3-5 to 3-3, if I remember correctly. This man went on, played senior with Kilkenny in the league and got to the quarter-finals. He was then, I don't know whether he means me to say this or not, but he ran foul of the authorities and was suspended for playing soccer. At that time, you didn't do things like that. I don't know. In 52, he was back in the league. In 53, Wexford came looking for him. After the 51 All-Ireland, when I think 7 goals, Tipperary put in 7 goals, they were looking for a good goalkeeper. And Ned Wheeler at the time, I've been assured, thought that this man was the perfect replacement. He didn't go, and Art Foley came along, the Hand and Christy Ring and 56 and all that. But this man will go down in a lot of people's memories as an outstanding goalkeeper. From Piltown, would you welcome please John Tobin.
First of all, I must thank the committee for inviting me in here to present with this trophy. But to me, it's not a trophy, it's an Oscar. And I hope it doesn't happen to me what happened the last John that got one. I think it's John Wayne in True Grit. However, having said that, again, thanks to the committee very much for, this is the icing on the cake. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Poor goalkeepers, they can only lose, you know. We remember their great saves, but for a long time, but we never forget the ones that get in. There was a great story told of, it was a Joe Cahan, or Dan O'Keefe was playing goals for Kerry, about 7 All-Irelands. But he got kind of careless one day during a league match, and the ball went into the back of the net. Joe Cahan turned around and said, "Why didn't you stop that one, Dano?" And Dano looked up and he said, "What do you think the net is for?" Anyhow, there was another goalie that playing and didn't think much of him. He said, "That fella, Ní stopach sé coire, he wouldn't stop a sheep. I know, says the other fellow, we tried him with one after the match. Anyhow, moving again across the Lignon back into the province of Munster. 95, I think, is a year of recollections for Tipperary. 100 years ago, 1895, Tipperary won 2 All-Irelands, the hurling and the football. The great Tubradora team won the hurling, and the Arravale Rovers, Tipperary, won the football. 75 years ago was Bloody Sunday, when Michael Hogan was shot, the man who gave his name to the Hogan stand. And I'm glad to see that they commemorated the 75th anniversary of this terrible event with a first-class publication, a very fine book, giving all the details and all the things that have happened over the year. It's on sale in the shops. For anybody interested in that era and the story and all that, I would recommend it highly. 50 years ago, Tipperary, with 2 Carrick men, the 2 Walls, as far as was there 3, Jimmy Cooney retired, 2, broke the Cork. It would have been 6 in a row. They made it 4 in a row and another one after it. 1945 they won the All-Ireland with the great team. They will be remembered, of course. When I was young, I remember the great teams with John Doyle and the 3 in a row there, 49, 50 and 51. They were our heroes. We didn't see all the matches, but we heard Michael O'Hare talking about them. We knew where every single one of them came from and how they moved and all that, or at least we thought we did. It's a pleasure to have a lot of them back there again. So now we'll come to the awards for Tipperary for 1995. The player of the present needs no introduction in this area. He's a man, I'd say, who has broken Carrick hearts several times over the 80s, the late 80s and the early 90s. He has played for Tipperary. He's a very young man, but he's played for Tipperary so often that people probably think that he's a veteran. From an unfashionable club, if you like, a club that would be more renowned for football, producing a lot of the great footballers of the 30s and the 40s. He played in an All-Ireland minor final against Offaly in 1987. In 1980, he made his senior debut and came on as a sub in the Munster final, which they won, and they went as far as the All-Ireland final. In 89, he was a member of the Tipperary team which won the All-Ireland. He has, in 91, he's being an all-star. He has he played in under-21 minor. I don't know if he played junior, but he played senior. He played football for the county, and I'm sure he'll remember 94 as the year that he played football and got injured and didn't make it to play hurling. In spite of that, he was nominated as an all-star. And my favourite game, everybody has their favourite game that this man has played. My favourite game of an all-round exhibition of top-class hurling and all its skills, all its facets, would have been the league final against Galway. The man I mentioned, I know you all know who it is. I know he'll get a great big welcome. One of the game's great characters and great hurlers, from Mullinahone, John Lahey. John, would you like to say, you won't get away without saying a few words.
Just going to be short and brief. Just, ladies and gentlemen, just thank the committee for picking me for this award. It's a great privilege to get it. And I just say a little word to Billy. He mustn't have been talking to too many Tipperary people. I just like to thank the committee again, and it's great to get the award again, and everyone enjoy themselves. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John. Now the Tipperary player of the past, again somebody that I think I was trying to say down there, did I play against him? I think I did, played football against him. He was the man who won an All-Ireland medal with Tipperary in 1958. At a time, I suppose, when Tipperary were team building after the great team of the 3 in a row, and again leading to the team of the 50s. This man, for me, was one of the outstanding players of the 50s. As I said, he won the All-Ireland medal in 58. He also played football that year. He played against Kerry, and only for a last-minute goal, which was largely accidental, Tipperary would have done the impossible and beat that great Kerry team that went on to become the great team of the 50s and 60s. He suffered a broken leg shortly afterwards, and I think he put an end to his career. He was a selector, I think, on the Tipperary football team, which created a record by going through Division 2 of the Football League without losing a match, and got a special award for it. This man is one of the greats. With his club, Kilkenny, he won all the awards that were to be won. He was always a great sportsman on the field. He hasn't changed a bit, because this is one of the great gentlemen of sport. A credit to his native parish, to his county, to his country. A big welcome, please, for the great Tom Larkin.
I was there at that match. Jimmy Doyle was at that match.
Tom, will you say a word?
And I have the vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to thank Tom and his committee for presenting me with this wonderful trophy, and especially when I get my own colleague here, Jimmy Doyle. Thanks very much.
If I want to test my memory, Jimmy, was the score in the final 4-12 to 1-5? 58 final. Yeah, that was right. I get the 6 points, so okay. Right. Right. We have now come to 2 special awards. One to County Waterford, to a man who's put an awful lot into the administration of the games. And like everything, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. You know, the day you lose, you'd have done very well if you only had a couple of reasonable selectors. The day you win, sure, the selectors were only in the way. It was the great team that won it. This man worked behind the scenes, and particularly in Borden and Og, and that's a place that a lot of work is done, but it never makes the big headlines. But at the same time, it sets the seeds for the great hurlers and the great footballers of years to come. And we'd like to make this award, special award, to Secretary of Waterford, Borden and Og for many years. He's a Carrick man. He's proud of the fact. I don't know who he shouts for in Tipperary Waterford games. I'm sure he'll tell me. But would you please show our appreciation of the work of Seamus Elwood. Yeah, Seamus, would you like to say a few words?
I would like to thank the committee for this award. I'm very honoured to be a recipient of an award like this, with the kind of people that are up here on the stage, people that if I was on a playing field I could never have lived with. I have always said that if I ever got the chance, there's one message I'd love to give to the 2 clubs of Carrick-Moore here in Carrick, both Swans and Davins, and now I have my chance. Tom Nealon was here in '93, and I heard him saying very much what I would like to say. I'm fed up, lads, of getting the Tipperary yearbook and seeing Swan underage teams and Davin underage teams, South finalists, county finalists, and very rarely champions written on it. My club in Waterford, we have 3 senior football teams, and we have 3 intermediate hurling teams, all from the one underage club. For the sake of hurling and football in Carrick, please take a serious look and see would one team for underage in Carrick do what I know it has been doing for my club and the 2 other clubs that share our underage club. Days of Waterfords and Tipperary playing hurling in my house, tis the referee we shout for.
You see, arguments over matches now mightn't end as they used to. This referendum could change an awful lot of things. And a supporter of the wrong county could find himself falling over his suitcase on the way out the following morning. They tell me here that we have another... Have I left somebody out? That would... Right. Yeah. Okay, Jane, we're on the way. Our second special award recipient comes from Kilkenny. Is a very fine goalkeeper. Funny, I had the idea that he was full-back, but I've been told that he played full-back for Windgap. I'm sure my colleague down there, Martin O'Shea, will be able to correct me on it. Our Windgap man here in Carrick, and I'd like to pay a particular tribute to Martin. He hates being mentioned, but I think he deserves it. Martin has done a huge amount of work for hurling and football here in Carrick, and he doesn't ask what jersey, whether it be blue and gold, blue and white, or black and amber, the person will be wearing afterwards. And he's been a marvellous help and encouragement to me over the years. He makes sure that every young fella in Carrick has a good view of the present Kilkenny team. The photograph is always at the back of the door, in case any... to be fair, he does put up... I have seen Tipperary teams up there, you know. So it's up to themselves. If they win the All-Ireland, they'll get up. I'm waiting for him still to put up the Clare team. He got one of the best answers that I've ever heard. He asked in a test, what were the statutes of Kilkenny? And I suppose, like all of us, he'd be expecting all these things that we've taught. And he said it was made for a Kilkenny team that won. They were made for a Kilkenny team that won the All-Ireland. So you have the statutes of Kilkenny. Martin, gur míle maithagat as an obair fad atá déanta go leis na blianta anseo, agus go mara tú bhain. That was just an interruption because his clubman is the man who's being honoured here. A goalkeeper, I think he played full-back. He won an All-Ireland medal, was it this year or last year, with the over-40s. The recipient of the special award for 95, second special award, he is in charge of coaching, I think, of hurling in Leinster. I saw him on television some weeks ago talking about indoor hurling. Would you welcome, please, our recipient from 95, Bobby Jackman.
I want to thank the committee for giving me this award. Last year I was here and I remember talking to Brendan Cronin, who had got an award, and he said, it's a pity you're not from one of the clubs in Carrick, you might get an award sometime. But maybe they made a special allowance for just being winning the over 40s this year, and I'd like to thank all the lads that came in from my own club, and at Martin Shea, where I started hurling back years ago, back in his field. And I'd also like to thank Jimmy Doyle for... It's a great honour to get an award from Jimmy Doyle. When I was growing up, Jimmy Doyle broke our hearts in Kilkenny in the early 60s. And you weren't my favourite player, Jimmy, at that time. But you were definitely a model for any young fella hurling. You definitely were. And it's an honour to get the award from you, Jimmy. Thanks very much.
Well done. We're nearly filling up. The team is almost selected. And this is the last award, is the very special award for 95. And it goes to a man who you know for quite a long time. He played minor back in 1975, under 21 in 1977, won Senior All-Irelands in 82 and 83, All-Star. He's the newly appointed trainer of the Kilkenny senior hurling team, and he will be remembered in Carrick, maybe not for winning All-Irelands or anything else, but the man who coached the Mullerns to the 1995 Intermediate Championship. Welcome please from Carrick-Shock, Richie Power.
Jimmy, turn around the table. One more.
Richie, you'll have to say a few words.
I'll do like Willie O'Connor done it. I'll make it short and sweet. First of all, I'd like to thank the Triangular Committee for honouring me with this beautiful trophy. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate the Mullerns team, because to me, a trainer is as good as the bunch of lads you have under you. And I had a great bunch of lads. I had a great bunch of lads beside me on the line. And I got tremendous satisfaction in Welsh Park today. They won them to me the championship. I'm just going to say a few little things about the GA as far as my life involvement has been with the game. I was born, I suppose, if I got out of my hometown of Condonstown and drove 20 miles, I was in Tipperary, and if I drove 20 miles the other way, I was in Waterford. So it's a tremendous honour to be here, for me to be here tonight, living so near the borders of Waterford and Tipperary. Last Saturday, or last Sunday, Christmas Eve, the biggest tribute that could ever be paid to a man, and what the GA is all about in this country. We laid to rest a gentleman of Kilkenny hurling, the late Ted Carroll. Ted Carroll was a very close friend of mine, because I had a big involvement with Ted for the last 12 years, but he was everything that you could ask for in a guy. He was a gentleman, he was always there to lend advice, and he was always there to help, a helping hand. This morning I was talking in Hotel Kilkenny to a guy that was running a CBS team in Kilkenny, and last summer their field was very cut up after a lot of hurling during the year, and they asked Ted for a loan of the machine to resod the goal mouths. Not alone did the machine come up to the CBS ground, but Ted came with it. But the amount of people that was in Kilkenny for Ted Carroll's funeral proves to me what the GA is all about in this country. From every county and every corner of Ireland was represented. And that to me what the GA is all about. It's great to have a rivalry between Tippin and against Waterford. But when the final whistle goes, it's great to turn around and shake hands with the lad you're on and say well done, and go and have a jar with him after. That's what this game is all about, lads. And we'd have nothing in Ireland if the GA dies. And it's great to see a committee like this keeping it going. It's great to see the likes of Bobby Jackman hurling all his life for a little parish in Windgap, and never walked away from them. That's what GA is all about to me. I just like to finish in thanking my own lads for coming here tonight from my own parish, and I wish you all a happy new year, and I hope we'll be able to bring in the McCarthy Cup next year. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Richie. Well, that about wraps up the awards. But a lot of what was said here today has a great relevance for all of us. Sport has become the media, or the media have become sport. And too many of the youngsters may not value the great efforts of the players in this amateur game. If you look at our Irish papers, the only thing they'll report in any great detail is the row at the back of the goals, or the dispute in the boardroom, or some other kind of argument or a dissension between people. They should get the message if they were here today. We're all the one. We play hard while the game is on, but when it's over, we have far more in common than what we... No headbutts or anything else. Maybe 95 has shown us one thing. The media are always looking for darlings. They found the Clare hurling team, and they found Jason Sherlock. And boy, are they able to flog that. Let's hope that they move down to the Three Sisters, and they'll find all the darlings that they were ever looking for.
Hey,
Hey, Liam, don't. Put your hand.
With me now is William Healy, recipient of the Swan Player of the Past. William, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Tom.
An award like this is for the skills and the great commitment that you showed when you were playing hurling. Do you think that that sort of commitment is being given by the young players of the present?
Well, Tom, I'll have to answer you one question. It's not. The young people at the present time, they have no interest, but they don't put in the same commitment that I put in. They're on that green until 11 o'clock in the summer times, but when Lady Haddon needs in America now, my friend, but they don't put in the same commitment that they should do. And I would like to see the young players at the present time give more commitment to the GAA, because I think myself it's one of the most best field games in the world, and that's all I got to say.
Good man, William. I remember you specifically for hurling in the air, doubling on the ball, an art that's lost. What do you think happened?
I don't know, Tom, because the players of the present time, they don't seem to do it. They're not practicing to do it. If you see a player of the present time now, right, he'd have to lift that ball, he'd have to get it. But in my time, they just come out there, just hit it like that. But now, there are 4 or 5 people going for one ball, but they don't seem to get it up, and that's it. That's all I got to say.
I thought about him today on from I was going to say Paddy Finucane, from Tom Nealon. John, have you any regrets about taking that Wexford offer? Bear in mind what you missed out.
Maybe I have, but still, I had an offer twice or 3 times. Different fellas came to me to play with Wexford, and I just didn't. Am I right?
Yeah, but when you see what happened afterwards, John, did it ever kind of catch your mind?
Well, it did indeed, yeah, because Nick O'Donnell and Tom Ryan went at the same time, but little before me.
Yeah.
And they won 2 All-Irelands with Wexford.
Did you think you were going past getting the walls, John, at this stage?
Well, I did, actually. This is the icing on the cake, like, didn't reward me to the Oscar.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Being here, like, my brother's getting an award, like, and it's a great day for the mother, and such that a young fella so young got an award, like, and my brother, like, and whatever, my father's, I don't know.
It's a great day for GAA. The bigger the guests, the better.
It's great to see some of the all-time greats here. That's all I have to say.
I'm Peter Whale now, but Jackie's after doing all the talking for me.
Well, what I'm saying, I'll never get player of the past because I'm still involved and I'm going to be involved.
All I have to say is I was proud of Jackie today. He gave a great speech and everything, and we really enjoyed the day.
I've only wanted to say it. The night I hit him below in Piltown, I didn't break his fucking wrist.
Ladies and gentlemen, now with me I have Mr. Tom Nealon and Mr. Liam Dwyer, Chairman of the Urban District Council, Carrick-on-SUIR. Well, Liam, what did you think of today's proceedings?
Absolutely fantastic. A great day for Carrick. It's an annual event now, and it's marvellous that you can generate such enthusiasm from people from the 3 counties to come into Carrick-on-SUIR. As I said in my opening address, the home of hurling as far as I'm concerned. I'm sincere about that. And the man that's standing on my right, I didn't get a chance of seeing it early on in my opening address, Tom Nealon, who came from Clare. Tom Nealon was the cause, and a great cause, of many a great hurler to come out of Carrick-on-SUIR. When times were hard, this man, and I mean this totally and I'm sincere about it, when times were hard in Carrick-on-SUIR, and I know I'm speaking from first-hand experience, I was one of the youngsters that was under his wing. He was down on the fair green, up in the Davin Park, money out of his own pocket, genuinely buying medals for youngsters to play leagues out of his own pocket. Bad nights, bad days, he was there, and he did wonderful work for the young people of Carrick-on-SUIR. I can mention some of the people, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. PJ Ryan was one of them. Michael Roach was another one that came up and won All-Ireland medals.
What about Jimmy Foley?
Jimmy Cooney was well gone at this stage. I'm talking about Tom Needham's time. But there was a lot of others came up, Tom, that you taught in Carrick-on-SUIR that went on to win all Ireland medals. That, I mean it, they had the talent. You brought the talent out through your own generosity and your free time in Carrick. An effort that those people are putting in. They're the unsung heroes of this day. They don't want to be mentioned. I'm not going to mention anyone in particular. I just say the committee that's doing a wonderful work for the community, both in Carrick-on-SUIR, Waterfords and Kilkenny. Thank you very much.
Well done, Liam. Well, Tom, a marvellous day for everybody concerned. Now, just to reflect on what happened during the course of the day, Tom, what did you think of all the proceedings?
Well, I was looking at it, I suppose, from the other side. In '93, I was honoured to have an award presented to me. That was wonderful. This was another side of the other side of it to me. I was reasonably happy with it. I know I haven't the experience and that Paddy Finucane brought to it, or the absolute mine of information on all the characters. But I enjoyed it very much. I thought that the people here were genuinely appreciative of the efforts of the players of the present and the past who were honoured. And I think it would be a terrible pity if for any reason it were to end.
Liam said earlier on in his speech, as we said, players of the past and players of the future. Today I was delighted to come in here from Kilkenny to see my players of the past, let they be from Waterford, Kilkenny or Tipperary. And it was the people of Carrick-on-SUIR who gave me that opportunity to meet with those players of the past.
Giving up the drink won't solve the problem of your career in the car trade. All good salesmen are going to be crooks. Highwaymen. Anything else like that. But we'll forgive you this once. Happy Christmas, Dad.
Have a good Christmas.
A great Christmas, Liam. And we had many a good New Year. So we hope this one will be as good. How did you get on doing the tapes this year?
Is come out me Slanic and home so rich. When I'll be here next year. Oh, there's the guys. Yeah? Yes, Healy, you say a few words there tonight.
Well, Seamus wasn't the first in the family to get an award, because this man here got an award in 1990, so Seamus wasn't the first.
Yes, exactly. But as poor Ted Carroll out to mercy and passed away there, it shook us. It shook us in Tipperary. You know, I hurled against Ted. Ted hurled for Leinster. He was a great player. You know, Jim Tracy. You know, God, listen and save us all. They were great men, you know. Even the Link Welsh. Link Welsh, yes. God almighty. Sean Classy, you know. Gosh, they were great men. Eddie Kerr. Tommy Welsh. You know, poor Tommy. Great man. Listen, Miss Strachan, you know, those things do happen, you know. But anyway, they were great men.
But you have great friendships, though, Jimmy, over the years with all those guys.
We have.
Did you ever fall out with anybody, Jimmy?
No. I never fell out with nobody in my life. Never.
You never came off a field and said, I don't like that guy anymore?
No. We always shook hands. As I say, that's the game is all about, you know.
That's how it should be, Jimmy.
Oh, certainly.
You still enjoy it?
I enjoy it. I love it. I'm working in the hospital of the Assumption in Thurles, and you know, I listen to all the matches. Michael O'Brien, as I told you there, I listen to him. I listen to Radio Kilkenny very often, and I listen to Michael O'Brien 5:30. I must ring him someday.
Do, please.
I will.
Jimmy, you gave us an awful lot of pleasure.
Well.
And long may you last to talk about
Thank
it,
you
Jimmy.
very much.
Thanks a million.
And the best of luck to Radio Kilkenny.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
You're a star.
Thank you.
Jimmy Doyle there, one of the gentlemen of hurling, talking to Barry Henriquez. Also down at that Maurice Davin Awards, which takes in 3 counties and awards to players from 3 different counties. Bobby Jackman received an award and Barry spoke to him.
It's a good award to get, particularly from the man you got it, Jimmy Doyle.
Yeah, it was great to get it from a man like Jimmy Doyle, Barry. A man, when we were growing up in the early 60s, Jimmy Doyle was a legend, and if he was in it now, he'd probably be a complete superstar, yeah. And to go up there and get an award from Jimmy Doyle was a icing on the cake at the end of your days.
Isn't it a unique occasion, Bobby, to think that a committee in one county can honour hurlers and footballers from at least 2 or 3 other counties?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't happen anywhere else in Ireland, I'd say. That CARRICK-ON-SUIR, it's in the centre of 3 counties and 3 clubs in the town, and it was a brilliant idea, and it gets so many people together, and you can see yourself here today that the atmosphere is marvellous, you know.
You were delighted to collect the award?
Oh, thrilled. It was the icing on the cake at the end of my days to get an award here. I might have to go into County Tipperary to get it, but it was just brilliant to get it, and with all the famous names up there on the stage, and well...
You were in good company?
I was in good company. I wouldn't be the most famous of them, but as I said, I was in good company anyway.
After the Masters All-Ireland win, Bobby, this surely was the icing on the cake.
It was, yeah, it was. It was a marvellous year, a lovely end to the year, yeah. Lovely end.
You're not fit for the knackers yard yet, though, Bobby?
I don't know, when you get an award like this, I think they'll tell you something.
Thanks for talking to me, Bobby.
Thanks, Barry, thanks.
John Leahy, I said to Bobby Jackman there earlier that is it a lovely occasion to think that a club would honour players, hurlers and footballers from 3 different counties?
Well, it's brilliant to just tell it like that. At the end of the day, everyone is sports people, and I'd enjoy the day out. Everyone is here, and like during the year, it runs in with a couple of players, and they're here today, and I don't know, everything is going okay, and you know, there's no bitterness there at all. You know, it's great.
That's the beauty of the whole game, John, isn't it? That on the field of play, it could be tough, it could be hard, it could be a lot worse than that, but when it's all over, the whistle goes, the hands are shook. We're all friends after that.